So, asking people for favors. I know for me, sometimes I get shy, a little embarrassed. It really just depends on what the favor is and who you're asking. This lesson is going to show you different phrases that you can use when you are asking for a favor. And you're not necessarily going to use the same phrase over and over and over. What do I mean by favor? I mean when we ask someone to help us in some way or to do something for us. One of the basic phrases to ask for a favor that I hear a lot is, can you help me with my homework? This is just an example, but you'll notice that the phrases I share with you today are going to be formed as questions, and they'll begin with a modal. So for example, in this case, the word can being a modal. Can you help me with? But what other phrases can we use? There's nothing wrong with asking this question, but sometimes you want to make sure you sound polite, even more polite. And especially if you're working in an office or if you're asking someone for a favor and you're kind of nervous about it, you want to make sure that you don't sound pushy or you don't sound demanding. If you're not sure if you sound demanding or not, it's always good to just insert the word please. So here's the first way to ask for a favor. Could you please? Could you please? Could you please turn down the music? It's a little too loud. Could you please turn down the music? Notice that the action here is the phrasal verb turn down. Turn down. Could you please turn down the music? It's used in its base form of the verb. Sometimes I hear mistakes in the verb and some people want to add the ing. We don't add the ing here because it is the main verb. Could you please turn down the music? Or another example. Could you please help fix the computer? Could you please? The next option you could use when you are asking for a favor is this. Could I ask you to help me translate this document? Could I ask you? Again, it begins with a modal, and because it's a question, just make sure that you're using the correct intonation. Could I ask you to help translate this document? Notice that my intonation goes up at the end. Could I ask you to help me translate this document? After this particular starter, you want to make sure that the form of the verb you're going to use is the infinitive form. So here it would be to translate versus saying translating. All right, so here's the way to start for number 3. Using these words, do you mind? The word mind can mean brain, but in this case, it's used as a verb, an action. And the word mind is, if I mind something, it means I don't like it or I find it annoying. So as an example, I can say, she minded the pouring rain because that meant she couldn't go out. So when you're asking for a favor, you could say, do you mind writing down the notes for this meeting? You notice that the verb I'm using right after this phrase is the word writing with an ing. My verb is using the ing form, and we want to make sure that we do that when we use this phrase. Do you mind cooking dinner tonight? I'm really tired. Do you mind cooking dinner tonight? Again, the verb here I'm using after the phrase is cook, so I add ing, cooking. Another way we could start instead of do is replacing it with the word would. Would you mind helping me with my homework tonight? This sounds very polite, and if you are asking someone for a favor that perhaps you haven't asked them for many favors or you don't know them as well, using the word would makes it sound very polite and gentle. Would you mind helping me with this? Another phrase you could use is this one. Could you possibly? Could you possibly give me a lift? A lift is another way to say a ride. And I hear more Americans say the word ride when you're asking someone to take you in their vehicle, let's say from work to your house. Could you possibly give me a ride? By adding the word possibly, you're kind of saying, you know, if you could, let me know. If not, that's okay. You're not sounding too demanding. Could you possibly give me the directions to the restaurant? Notice that after the phrase here that I'm using again the base form of the verb. In this case, the example is the word give, not giving. Could you possibly give me the directions to the restaurant? This last phrase is this one. Could you possibly do me a favor and walk the dogs? Phrase here, could you possibly do me a favor? Could you possibly do me a favor and make some copies of this flyer? All right, practice time. I'm going to give you the ending of the question, and I want you to choose the best answer for how would you phrase this. So here's the first one. Blank, turn down the music. Which one would you choose? The correct answer is, would you please? Would you please turn down the music? Here's the next one, number 2. Watching the kids for me tonight. Let's say you have a date with your loved one. You want someone to help you watch your children. How would you start this one? The correct answer here is, would you mind? Would you mind watching my kids for me tonight? Here's the next one. To clean your room. To clean is in the infinitive form, so what would you choose? If you said, could I ask you, you are correct. Could I ask you to clean your room? And here's the last one for practice. To translate my document. What would you choose to begin this question? I'm using the infinitive form, to translate. If you chose, could I ask you, you are correct. Could I ask you to translate this document for me? Let me know in the comments section below what you thought of this lesson, and feel free to add any suggestions for further lessons as well. So tell me, what kind of favors have you asked for before? How did you ask them? Go ahead, write down in the comments section below and feel free to share so that other viewers can also see and we can all give each other some feedback. If you like this video, you want to check out some of my other past lessons, feel free to go to my channel's page or go to the links in the description box for more videos. All right, everybody, that's it from me today. Take care. I hope you all are staying safe, and make sure to press that notification bell button so that you're the first one to get notified when new lessons come out on this channel. Have a great rest of your week. Until next time.